Welcome to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast. So, this episode, I've invited on my sister. We're just doing family, is what we're doing.
I love it.
So, anyway, today we're going to be talking about authenticity. So, my sister has been in corporate and pharmaceutical advertising for how many years now?
10 plus.
10 plus years. So, anyway, pharmaceutical advertising, and I've been an entrepreneur, as we know. So, we're going to talk about like authenticity, what that means for an entrepreneur versus somebody who has been in a big company, and how you can kind of shine through your authenticity, I guess, like with a team, because like I can really choose whatever the hell I want to do, which is like the great part of entrepreneurship, but a lot of other things come along with that. So, anyway, Elena, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
So how old are you?
I am 36. 36 years young, closer to 40 this year. No, yeah, I'm Elena. I'm Lydia's sister. I'm super excited to be here. This has been, I don't know, over a year in the making now. You finally let me have my big break on visibility on purpose. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's my intro.
Great intro. Well, I'm assuming that people are going to ask who's older. So I figured why not? So I'm 33, Elena's 36. Well, I'm going to be 34. We're 2 years apart.
People guess that you're older when we're out.
It's rude. I have never heard that, but okay.
So I'm just gonna tell myself.
Okay. So, Elena, where should we start with authenticity for you? Actually, you know what? Let's start with your like career journey so people know what you've been through
Sure.
in terms of like, I don't know, career.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I majored in mass communication and I did a double concentration in public relations and journalism and new media. And at the time it was new media, social media. So Twitter was just coming out. I remember my journalism teacher had us all get Twitter accounts, and start using it. What?
The website.
Oh my God, I did. For my journalism class, we had to have blogs and on WordPress. And I had a couple of different blogs. My first one was like a fashion blog. I don't know. And Lydia was basically my model. And
No,
you,
no. She didn't tell me that I was going to be her model on this website.
I had
So,
an assignment.
Elena, one day I Googled myself because people were like, oh, you should Google yourself and like see what it says on the internet about you. And this was when I was like 22, starting to apply to jobs. I just graduated college. And I'm like, what is this? And there's just pictures of me in sunglasses and a beach cover up. Like, what is this? So I like scrolled down and it says like by Elena Bagarosa. So I asked her if she could take it down and she was like, oh, I have no idea what the login is. I don't think I can. And so for
username.
4 years, I had this up and I was like, for my 30th birthday, it was literally 8 years live. I was like, for my 30th birthday, this is the only thing I care about.
Literally with my Towson ID, which was expired. So I had no way of logging in or retrieving my password that I forgot. This was like a million years later. So yeah, I emailed WordPress corporate and they took it down. So you're welcome. But then I had another blog about bicycling in Baltimore. My teacher was really into the theme and I was like, I'm just going to go with it. I did. And I had to like interview, there's like a huge bike community in Baltimore, actually. And I went to random like bike meetup events and I interviewed people. I made video footage. I was editing video on like, oh my God, what's the something Cut Pro or whatever? It's a video editing software. Like I had to use it and figure it out and edit video footage all for my blog. But it was really interesting. I interviewed the like transportation commissioner of Baltimore. But anyway, this is like way too much detail on like school, but that was my major. My first job was in marketing and advertising at a recycling business. And I was there for a few years. And then I was very interested in pharmaceuticals and healthcare. I've always been very into healthcare, but I never wanted to be a doctor. I had no passion for it whatsoever. But I was like, and I liked advertising and marketing. And I was like, oh, wow, this could be like a nice way to like merge both of those interests. And so I then got into pharmaceutical advertising at an agency, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And I've been to three different agencies now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we both have worked in like mom and pops. I worked in agencies, so similar agency life, but definitely smaller agencies than you. You've worked in like very well-known global agencies. Like I would say that the agencies I worked at were more mom and pop style, but we just so happened to have like really good connections with huge mega companies. So we were like third party. Like sometimes, especially when I worked in music, it was like they had an agency and then sometimes we would work alongside that agency. So it was cool. Like we had clients that were massive, but I was kind of far removed. So I still had that like smaller feel. So it wasn't as much of like, I guess, like an overbearing company culture. I don't know about overbearing, but like it wasn't, I still had more flexibility. So going back to authenticity, how do you feel you've been able to be authentic in like, okay, actually, I have a really good question for this. Authentic in terms of like who you are and communicating with clients, because I have worked at a few agencies where they were like, this is our style, and it felt quite robotic to me. So, I mean, you are more of like a managerial role. How is that for you?
Yeah. Um, well, I think it depends, right? So, um, in my role, I'm in account management. So I'm like the liaison between our clients and my internal team. And so I'm both client facing and internal facing. Um, I think with clients, like I've never been dictated, like you need to have a certain style or present yourself in a certain way, but you are representing the agency. And, with client services, they have certain expectations. You need to provide certain services. So, I mean, you, I am myself, and you build relationships with your clients. You get to know each other. You learn about each other's families. You learn about each other's interests. So, I think over time, you can still be your authentic self and build a nice relationship with your client. But you still need to keep a level of professionalism as well. Um, so you can't totally kick back and maybe chat with your client the way I would talk to you.
Yeah.
But you definitely can still bring like a version of yourself. And I think that always goes a long way too, because people can tell if you're being real or phony.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important to actually bring with you, like to your clients, while also keeping that level of professionalism. I mean, and same goes for internal. I think internally, every company has a culture and every culture is a little bit different. Um, but I think internally, there's a little more flex that you could bring a little bit more of yourself or like joking around. And like, I think I've always just, especially with like my internal team, like it's a team and camaraderie and it's different personalities, but it's like nice to actually get to know each other. And I think it goes a lot better when you are yourself.
Yeah.
And people have different personalities and they bring different things to the table. And I think that's another beautiful thing about working within a team environment. Um, so yeah, I mean, just you can like be yourself and like joke around.
Okay, so this is actually this is just how the episodes go. I feel like they always just trail off and have their own and have their own like idea of what they want to be. We were going to talk about authenticity, but now I'm thinking just like being in an internal team, I think is really valuable. So, if how do you keep boundaries while also being your authentic self in teams? And like, what is that fine line between, you know, creating relationships with your clients and your coworkers, but then also having boundaries? I mean, this is something that I personally had to learn with, I think you can be taught, but something you have to learn through experience of like what's okay to share, what's not okay to share. And also like, do people push your boundaries if you give them too much? Like, what is your experience with that?
Too much meaning like of yourself.
Yeah, like personality. Like I remember, here's an example. I remember I was working at one of the like first agencies. It was maybe like 25, 26. And I remember one of my clients was really, really nice. We did like a press tour in New York City, really enjoyed each other's company, but then she started messaging me on the weekends and like expecting me to respond. And I was also young, so I was responding on weekends. Now I have different relationships and different boundaries with clients, and it's very firm, but I remember having to learn that at
Mm.
in my early 20s.
So that was a client.
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay. I think in my industry, clients, I mean, I try to stick to strictly business hours. And if I'm emailing late, I don't expect a response late. Just because that time works for me doesn't mean it works for you. And a lot of times, I mean, I have a toddler, so I try to take a break after work. Like that's kind of a boundary I try to set to like set aside like that 1 hour that I get with him, like before he goes to bed at night to like, and it's not just like kicking my feet back and like relaxing, but it's spending time with him. It's getting dinner ready, playing with him, um, and then, putting him to sleep. So I like to get that one-on-one time with him. But then once I put him down, like you 9 times out of 10 open my laptop back up and finish what I'm doing. Um, so I mean, client wise, I definitely try to respect their time. And, we communicate Monday through Friday. And if we email each other on the weekends, I think on either side, unless there's like a big deadline that everybody is aware that we need to be online over the weekend, there's no expectation that anyone needs to get back to each other until Monday business hours. So I would say that's like one thing. I mean, internal team too, if you're talking about like relationships, I think it depends because, and you kind of read the room too. You get to know people on like a personal level, and you can kind of understand like how much you can or can't share. And it depends. Um, and I think that's what's nice too. When you're in a work environment, you develop different relationships with different people. And naturally, you are going to be closer to some people than others. I think internally, like it's a little bit different than your client relationship because I mean, I know a lot of people and myself personally, I've worked with coworkers who have become really good friends. And like I have coworkers now that like I still talk to or that I've remained really close with and we're friends. And like so I think it depends. People have work friends and if you develop that type of relationship and you're texting over the weekend or you want to see each other outside of work hours, that's totally fine if that's just the relationship you're building. Um, so I think it depends. You just kind of have to like read the room, read people, get to know people, and then organically, I think relationships with people just develop.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like as adults, the best way to make relationships is at work or if you're a gym rat, like at the gym. But I will say most of my, I'm like, and I'm not a gym rat, but I will say most of my friends that I've gotten past, I want to say like 18 have been through work, like whether it be retail jobs when I was like in my like teen
Mhm.
years, upper teen, early 20s, or even agencies. Actually, we're in Florida right now. Elena's visiting, but I have a coworker from an old agency. I'm talking like years ago that messaged me recently and she was like, "Hey Lydia, I know that you moved down here. I'm going to be in West Palm Beach. Like we should meet up," which is so sad because we were in Buenos Aires and we have the episode if you want to listen to it. But it really is, I think, special because it's kind of like the family that you didn't want to, that you like didn't pick, but it picked you situation where you end up just developing relationships because you spend so much time with them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You spend more time at work and with your coworkers than you do with any other person in your life. Think about it. Like, I see and speak to my coworkers more throughout the week than I do my husband and my child. So, I mean, I think that's when I'm with my family and I'm like with people that I don't get to see all the time, all day, every day. That's why I try to set those boundaries to have some time with Michael at night. Like, I really want to make it count. But I think it's great when people develop those really special bonds or friendships with their coworkers, I mean, you might as well enjoy the people you're working with. You spend the most time with them. So again, like if you want to enjoy the most of your time, I mean, you might as well enjoy the people that you're with. And honestly, I think for me too, people can also really make or break the work environment.
Oh yeah.
Um, so enjoy who you're working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like as an entrepreneur, I'm lucky that I get to choose that myself, but I have had experiences with coworkers. I pretty much get along with everybody, but there's just some people that no matter what, you can't click with, or to be honest, they're just an asshole. Like there are some people that just suck, and that's the reality of it. But I will say, like, mostly I've had good relationships. There have been a few people where I'm like, ugh, I don't really like working with them, whether they be like, I feel like in agencies, there's a lot of competitive nature. Do you feel that way? It might be different because you're on like more of a team in advertising versus like PR. It's all about wins, like press wins. So even if you're on a team, it's like people, I, some people have this mindset of like, oh, I need to get the best press hit. I need to get ahead. So it's kind of competitive, which I never really understood working in an agency because I'm like, oh, we're all working together. Sometimes clients rotate. So like if your client is, with you for 4 months, sometimes our managers will just choose to rotate them. Like I don't have them forever, rotate teams. So I never really understood that. But now as an entrepreneur, like I got to pick Bridget. Bridget picked me. Like we love working with each other. I get to pick my team and it's really amazing. But like, how would you navigate some maybe coworkers that have been difficult for you?
Oh my
This is
gosh.
the tea.
No, I mean, I've definitely had coworkers that I found personally difficult to work with for various different reasons. And I think there's also been people that, and it's normal and natural. You're not going to click with everyone, and not everybody is going to like you. And you also don't need to like every single person. But again, you're in a professional environment, it's work and business. So you still need to be, nice to people, like, and not rude. And I think also just making sure you're contributing to a good work environment and you're not adding any sort of negativity. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've definitely had to deal with people that were difficult. And I think it's just trying to almost figure out how they work and the best approach on like you learn how to communicate with people. The way I communicate with person A is not the same that I would communicate with person B. And sometimes that you need to come to conversations like in a different manner or come and approach something in a different way. And so I think with like difficult people, you just need to kind of like learn and almost understand like how they work and then figure out like how to almost crack the code to like make it the like make the best out of it, even though it's not maybe like the best situation.
Yeah. I think that's such good advice, being intuitive with people, because I've found that over the years too. Like there's certain individuals that maybe I didn't click with right away. And also people grew on me too.
Hmm.
There, I remember many times, especially like switching jobs when you first are meeting a team, like somebody might be a little bit colder towards you, or maybe like you just like can't figure them out yet. And then after time, like over time, you're like, oh, I get it now. And I actually really like them. There's like one person in particular I'm thinking of. They were like a kind of like a manager role for me. And I feel like it's similar with like professors or like even teachers in high school or something, where you realize the way that they work, exactly like what you were saying. And then you're like, oh, okay, they just need to receive information this way, and then all is good. And so I think with work environments, even just like regular everyday life, not everybody communicates in the same way. And it always blows my mind how we all are truly having our own experience. Like I am 33 years old. I have 33 years of Lydia. And so the way that I'm communicating with literally everything around me is going to be so different from the way that you're communicating with everything around you. So yeah, I think that's such a good point, is like learning other people's behaviors beforehand, and kind of just like, I guess like not like playing it, like being observant, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's super important. And also just being very transparent with people too, sometimes, and like what your communication style is. Like literally just tell people like what works best for you or what I need, or ask people like I've asked too when I've gotten received new managers or have had a new manager. I'm like, what is the best way for me to reach you? How would you like me to communicate with you? Some, and I've also had direct reports that work very differently too. Some prefer like some want to like call me like throughout the day, or maybe not throughout the day, or a couple of times. They want like more frequent check-ins. Others want less check-ins. And like that's fine. So it's like finding out like let's figure out how you like to work, how I like to work, and then we can find a middle ground. And then eventually you get into a groove with people.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, even with clients, I do that with clients too. I'm pretty flexible. I don't really mind. I have, of course, boundaries of certain things. Like I'm not going to message you back on the weekend unless for whatever reason we have something big going on, like an event. Um, but I will tell them like, hey, if you want to send me voice notes, that sounds good. If you want to send me or send like check-ins through emails, that sounds good. If you want to do biweekly check-ins or whatever, we can also do that in phone calls. So I think learning other people's communication style is also it's such a form of respect, I think, as well. Like, if you're respectful enough to ask somebody, hey, how do you like to communicate? Immediately, they're going to think, like, oh, actually, you care how we work together. And so I think that goes a long way with people too, which is, I think, just like a layer of respect.
Definitely. I mean, and communication is so important, you know? I mean, it's a very important skill to have. You need to communicate, I think, for everyone to be successful, especially in a business. But if you can find a way that works for you and everyone else, it's just going to set everyone up for the better.
You know, it's funny when me and Bridget started working together, we not had like hiccups, but I think we realized that we worked really differently, but we work really well together now that we know how we work. Like I trust Bridget a million thousand percent. She trusts me a million thousand percent. Like if she answers emails, like whatever she says, I'm cool with. And so us even having that conversation in the beginning was big because we were like, oh, okay, now this person trusts me, so I don't need to check in with them. So now I feel comfortable. And so it also added a layer of confidence, I think, for both of us. And it's funny, we both realized that we actually like to work best separately. Like if we work together, we end up just chatting and like nothing gets done. We just are like cracking up, we're chatting. Oh, we're also really big with like ideas. I feel like the two of us just get hyped on each other. And so we'll be like, oh my God, this is a good idea. We should do this. We should do this. And then we end up getting nothing done. So both of us are very much like, I'm going to go in my wormhole. We call it our wormholes. You'll go in your wormhole, and then we'll just like tell you what we did afterwards.
Yeah. But that's great. Like you both have had a conversation to figure out what makes you both the most productive. And it sounds really great because when you're together, you become inspired basically by one another and you get these different ideas and then you kind of go off on your own and then you can like focus and think about it in a silo and then you like come back together and I think that's great.
Yeah, you know, last summer, Bridget and I re-filmed the entire course. So Pitch Party has been fully revamped, not that long ago at all. And it's hilarious because we originally were going to film it together in West Palm Beach. We got an Airbnb. Lots of things happened where her flight got canceled. We were trying every which way to get Bridget down here. Like we were looking at free flights through Spencer's benefits. Like we were looking at through everything. And it was the weather. There was nothing we could do. So yeah, so it turned out that she didn't come down here and it was low-key a blessing in disguise because we really wanted to get it done in that week period. There's absolutely no way we would have done anything. Like we would have gone to dinner, we would have gone to the beach, we would have like had a million ideas that we'd never actually put pen to paper on. Like, I don't know. So it was actually a blessing in disguise, I will say, but I do love that girl. I could spend all the time in the world with her. I really could.
Oh, I
I
love
know.
that. I
I
know you
know.
guys, I can tell you have like a really nice bond. And oh my gosh, I know. Now I'm in the hot seat. We pivoted from authenticity to relationships, I think.
So Elena has been wanting to get on the podcast since day one. She's asked me every, I want to say weekly, hey, when can I be on the podcast? Oh my God,
I
what
was
should
a
we
little
do?
salty when Spencer got in the seat before I did.
Yeah, well, we weren't going to really expand, I think, to family and significant others. And now we're just kind of like, we're going to do whatever the hell we want. So, Elena, it is your time to shine. What would you like to talk about on the podcast? Any questions?
Oh my gosh, why are you putting me on the spot like this?
It's like you've been asking me for it.
Um, well, when you first told me we were going to talk about authenticity on this podcast, I immediately thought that that was a great topic, especially for you, because you are somebody that I think is very authentic. You've always brought your authentic self, and I've always admired that quality of you. I feel like you've always been yourself and you have not cared about what other people think, and you were like that at a really young age. Um, like even when you went through weird phases in school, like when you were kind of like punk for a hot second and mom was like, yeah, this is not happening. But like
On Avril Lavigne.
but I don't know, like you just always like beat your own drum and you were always just yourself, I think, unapologetically. And I always thought that was a great quality of yours and I always looked up to you for that. Like I just feel like you've never really cared about what other people thought. And I think with with being authentic, there is a level of vulnerability and courage because you're also just showing yourself for 100% of who you are, knowing that like you could be welcomed with open arms or rejected. And I guess like I don't know, for you, because I have to ask you a question. I've just sat here giving you a love fest of how much what I admire about you. Um, but I guess like, are we gonna pivot to authenticity?
You actually pivot to like topic.
Maybe. Um, but I guess so for you, um, what do you like what is something that you do to like help ensure that you're bringing your authentic self to your clients? Like, or I guess you're kind of using like it's your business, so you create your culture.
Yeah.
So like how do you feel like you bring authenticity into your culture and your business?
I feel like this was a journey, honestly, where I didn't really know what that meant. It's funny, I feel, thank you for the love fest compliment. I feel like I've always been pretty good at just being myself. But when it comes to a business, there's a lot of eyes on you. And there's a lot of, you should do this, you should do that. And so I definitely got stuck in that for a while at the beginning. I remember like, when I first hopped into creating my own agency, I saw a lot of like female entrepreneurs around me and they were really leaning into being like feminine and it was like pink everywhere and like whatever. And I don't even really like the color pink. I mean, I like all colors, but it's not my color. And so I remember like trying to use a lot of pink in my marketing and like leaning into this idea of like female entrepreneur. I was like only working with women at the beginning. And then after a while, I was like, what the hell? Like I've always been kind of like a boys girl. I mean, I love my ladies, but I work really well with guys.
Yes.
Yeah, like I love guys. I can be a guy sometimes. Like it's just no, Elena once was like, "Do you think you were a man in a past life?" You said that to me. You said that to me, and I was like, "That's I don't know how I feel about that."
You do have like you do have like some masculine energy. And I don't mean that like you know how I mean that.
Yeah, I do. I do. Like a strong.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but anyway, whatever that means to you. Um,
I mean,
yeah.
like more like assertive and like bold and
We can just move on from
that's actually yeah, never mind.
Okay. She's gonna think about this one, come back. But I remember having this like aha moment. I think honestly it was 2023 when I really had the aha moment. So I started my business end of 2020, beginning of 2021, and then Bridget and I started collaborating somewhere between like 2021 and 2022. And then built Visibility on Purpose. But I think both of us have found our authenticity together really easily because it's like two people and you're just like, oh, we like this. But when it's yourself and you can get like swayed by other people and you don't really know what direction to do, it's honestly a lot of trust in yourself. It's a lot of pressure to trust yourself. It took me a long time to be like, no, I actually know best for me and for my clients. And so 2023, I think I finally saw the authenticity that I wanted in my business, and that meant color scheme. It first started with colors, I think, because I'm just such a visual person. And I was like, no, I actually really like neutrals and like earthy tones. Like that's me. And then it moved into more of like uh, okay, what words do feel authentic to me? Because I remember a lot of people, they would tell me, like, you have to talk about money and how, like, PR contributes to money because all people care about are sales. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But at the same time, like, my my job, like PR doesn't perfectly translate to sales. We are so transparent about that and visibility on purpose, but really it's about the overall business growth strategy and brand growth strategy. Of course, it's going to come to sales because it's like brand awareness equals more people buying your products, more people learning about it, and then sales. But that's not the goal right away. It's it's a after product. So, anyways, took all of that money talk out. I was like, none of that, like none of that. Then I think it finally trickled to the clients that I wanted to work with. And I remember at the beginning, I kind of like took on whoever said that they would pay me. And I really do love so many different types of people. Like I feel like I'm such a, I'm such like a butterfly, uh, social butterfly. And so I feel
The
like
Gemini in you.
it really is, honestly. It really is the Gemini in me. So I feel like I could see like the good in lots of people, or like I could see where they wanted to go with their brand, and I would just ignore my own intuition and just work with them. And then I would get screwed because I would realize like, oh, this actually authentically doesn't feel good for what should be a part of my company. So I want to say 2023 was the big rebrand for Visibility on Purpose and my personal agency, where we kind of were like, okay, what feels good to us? We're just going to do that and like not give a fuck. And so I think for me, actually, I haven't really talked about this. And I'm going to, today on the podcast, I'm going to let people know. I know, big, yeah, yeah. I'm going to reveal that I'm a bartender on the weekends.
Oh. I was like, what are we revealing?
So, 2023, or no, actually last year, I decided in 2023 that I wanted to get a second job. And the reason why I got a second job the beginning of 2024 was because I wanted something that felt stable. It was honestly like a psychology thing for me. I wanted something to feel stable where I was like, okay, well, I will have income no matter what. Whereas PR is very much like contract work. So I want something stable, and this will allow me to say no to people that come in or businesses that come in that don't feel aligned. So I think this past year, my business has like tripled in size, which has been amazing. And visibility on purpose feels really good. And I truly think it was because I needed to go through all of that like authenticity turmoil again. I feel like me and my friends always joke about this. Sorry, I'm like going off on a tangent, but where no matter what in your life, whatever issues, challenges you have, you're going to like quote unquote pass the test. And then you're going to get to the next level where that's going to be like a trigger again. And it's like, how do you pass it? And it's going to be an elevated version, but different, if that makes sense. So, like, authenticity, I feel like definitely is something that I've been challenged with since I was a kid because I always want to be myself. And then I realize, oh, okay, maybe that's not fully accepted. And then you end up figuring it out, passing that, and then you get to another level where you're like, okay, how can I'm now tested as a business owner. Like, how do I pass that test? Maybe I feel fine going into a group as myself, but as a business, how do I get to the next level? How do I pass that test?